Hello and welcome back. Obviously by the title we're reading Clarice Bean Spells Trouble by Lawrence Child. We're on chapter 9. And this starts on page 91. Anyway, we'll get right into it. Toby, I get this so sad. So sad. So sad. Just gotta, Toby's like our mascot. Alright. What are you doing? What you doing? Hi. Alright, mascot, you can leave. Thank you for your help in this video. He's like sticking around. Alright. Chapter 9. Page 91. Sometimes you do not know. You do not expect to feel better, but then you just do. It is an amazing thing how the human being person recovers from disappointment and dreadful happenings, and this is because of the human brain, and due to it being a mysterious thing. I heard a man on television say that the human brain is more complicated than an actual computer, which I doubt sometimes. And so would you if you met Robert Granger. The man said, the brain is an incredible, ingenious thing. And this is true. It is incomprehensible, very difficult to understand, almost, how it can feel sad one minute and hopeful the next. And how does it think of all kinds of things at once? The memory is the strangest thing of all. I am not sure how it works. Sometimes it is utterly a blank. And why it chooses to remember things like we had sausages last Thursday, but it can't remember the 8 times table is a mystery. My memory would rather remind me about how Mrs. Wilburton had a spinach stuck on her tooth and how I tripped over in front of my whole class last week, and some people probably got to see my underwear, which, to be actually honest, I would rather forget. At drama workshop, Zarina says, all this stuff you think of as useless information can be quite useful for your acting, and that, darling, slipping over you in front of everybody could turn out to be quite a good thing in the end. She says, you must use those experiences. They are food for acting. They nourish your craft. Write them down. I say the last thing I want to do is tell any more people how I tripped over and people saw my underwear. The worst bit is, they were absolutely embarrassing ones. And they had a picture of a little monkey on them, and that is not me. I do not wear stupid underwear normally, which is why Grammy would say every day would be a best underwear day to avoid this kind of disaster. Should be a best, yeah, that's true. Anyway, Zarina says, these kind of memories are useful because the secret to fabulous acting is understanding how something like, for example, falling over in front of your whole class and being completely embarrassed might feel. Darling, the more experiences you have like this, the better you will become at imagining, inventing, and embodying. It's actually so true. That's a hint for acting. On the way home, I was wondering if Nun 7 was ever embarrassed in front of her whole class, and I am wondering whether she decided to become a nun because one day she fell over and everyone got to see her monkey pants. And I make a note of this in my Ruby Redford notebook, and I am thinking, I am really getting to know Nun 7. She's a bit like Nun 4, but not quite exactly the same because I have made her different, and I think I will be good at acting her. That's cool that even though like Nun 7, like it's a number, she's completely given her like a new character. The next time we have Mr. Washington, I ask him about the memory thing because I desperately want to remember all my spellings and also other things too. Things that might come in useful. Like for example, there are things you think you don't need to remember, things you don't think would be helpful, but then suddenly you find out they are. Like knowing 9/8 or whatever 9/8 are. So 9 times 8 equals 72. Or how far it is to walk from Helsinki to Constantinople. Constantinople, now Istanbul, is 1,332 miles from Helsinki. 1 mile will take 20-ish minutes if you're a fast walker. So it will take you 26,640 minutes to get there. But don't forget to stop for a fizzy drink or you will die of drought. It's a long time. Anyway, because you never know what you might have because you never know when you might have to. Then there are other things that are nice to remember because they are nice to remember, like for example, maybe a poem, or maybe a name of a mountain in Japan, just because it's nice to know. My dad's one of those people who is always remembering things. You can ask him practically anything about facts and he will know the answer. He says if he doesn't know the answer, then he will just come up with one because why not? He says, just give it a try. And Ruby Redford rule is, you just never know when something you know is going to come in handy. So this is a good reason to know more, but the thing is, however much I know, I always forget. Mr. Washington says, the secret is to train your memory, he says. It is just like exercising any other part of your body. There are things you can do to get it in shape. He says, the first thing you do is try and memorize something you really enjoy. Maybe a poem or a song or breeds of dogs or whatever you're really into. He says, the secret is to be interested. Is there something you would really like to be able to say by heart? That's super true. Interested, and you'll probably remember it. So that's why it's good to find your passions. But also go after weaknesses. And I say, well, it's funny because I nearly know the whole part of Liesel in The Sound of Music, and I sort of learned it by accident, just listening to Grace doing it over and over. And Mr. Washington says, well, that's probably because you would love to play this part so your mind is interested. So why don't you learn the whole part perfectly? It will be really good practice. I think he's right, and I should start to train my memory. Then I think of Carl training grad dad in cement, and I wonder if it will be so easy. On Saturday there is nothing to do, so I slightly wander along to Eggplant. It is very hot, and there is nobody out on our street at all except for a few flies. When I turn the corner onto Sesame Park Road, there are people everywhere, and I can see them all plunked out like sardines in the park. Eggplant is all nice and cool for once. There is no one in there except for Kurt and this other girl who works there. Kurt seems really pleased to see me, and he introduced me to the girl whose name is Kira. She has her hair done in a scarf and wears very wide-legged pants that are all fraying at the ends, and she has got an earring on her eyebrow. It looks very uncomfortable, and she keeps twiddling it. She and Kurt are in the kind of mood where everything each other says is funny, and they keep chasing each other around the shop, trying to stick price labels onto each other's pants. When they have stopped doing this, Kurt says, what's going on in our street? And I say, just a few flies buzzing around. Kira finds this very funny and says, wow, your sister is funny, man. I think she is, wow, I don't know, I can only do a guy New York accent. I think she is from New York, and she gives me a juice that is not a juice really, but more like yellow water, and it tastes slightly off the shop. Kira says, it's got lots of Chinese herbs in it, and it's good if you're detoxing. Treatment to help your body to get rid of nasty bits and bobs that it be better off without. I say, I'm not sure if I'm detoxing, because I don't know what detoxing is, but I drink it anyway, even though it is the color of peat. I make a note in my Ruby notebook to look up the word detoxing in my dictionary when I get home. We are all having a very nice time chatting, and I'm allowed to sit at the shop assistant's stool, which I have always wanted to do because it is very high, and they gave me one of the Eggplant t-shirts to wear, so I actually sort of look like I'm a short person who works in the shop. Then suddenly all these girls come in. They are all talking very fast and quite loud, and they all giggle at the same time. And they ask if they can have freshly squeezed juices from the juice bar, but they don't ask Kira. They ask Kurt, and he goes a bit distracted. And Kira seems really fed up, and I give her this look where one of your eyebrows goes up, and she does it back. I get myself a pure fruit, nothing added, popsicle from the freezer, and I leave the money on the counter and say, bye Kira, bye Kurt, but he doesn't hear. Kira says, see you around, kid. Which is exactly the kind of thing Ruby Redford would say. I meander along the street, sucking my popsicle, which is the flavor of mango. I love mango. I love it so much I don't think I'll ever go off it. Then who do I see but Carl Renberry? I shout, hi Carl, but he doesn't hear me, so I shout again and wave, and I cannot believe he doesn't hear that. So I run up to him, grab him on the arm, and he says, leave me alone, would you? And he is still walking, and I say, Carl, it's me, Clarice Bean. And he says, so? And I'm amazed that he would be like that, and I say, I thought we were friends. And he says, yeah? Well, you thought wrong. And I just stand there like a fish with my mouth open, and I watch him walk off, and then I trip on the pavement and drop my popsicle, and my toe is bleeding because I I'm wearing flip-flops, and my mom says, never, ever run in flip-flops, and she is right. It hurts, but I hardly feel it because I am so completely astounded, and I watch my popsicle melting into the pavement, and it doesn't take long, and all these ants appear from nowhere and start using the juice like a paddling pool. And I don't look up because I don't want to start crying, so I just stare at the ants swimming in the popsicle juice, and they look like they are having fun. Then all of a sudden I'm picked up off my feet and I'm flung in the air, and I know who it is, of course, because he never just says hello or anything normal. The only person he doesn't pick up and fling in the air is my dad, because he wouldn't like it, and Granddad because he is too fragile and he might break a hip. And I say, Uncle Ted, put me down. But I don't mean it, and we both know it. And Uncle Ted says, it's not the sort of day for standing looking at ants, you know. And I say, I know that. And he says, well, good. Let's go to the movies then. So we do go to the movies, and we have a really good time, and it's nice and cool in there and nearly empty. And the movie is about a lost fish whose dad is trying to find him, and it's quite good, even though you do know what's going to happen in the end. It makes me think of Carl, though, because it is a strange thing that his dad is not coming to look for him. But however worried I am feeling about Carl Renberry and Tim saying we are not friends anymore, it all goes away slightly when I am with Uncle Ted. You see, if Uncle Ted can't make you laugh, no one can. But after he is gone and I am home, I start to think about Carl again and what he said. It makes me feel sick inside, and when Dad says supper time, I am not hungry. That is the end of chapter 9. We ended on page 102, so we'll pick up on 103 with chapter 10. Thank you guys for joining me, and I put the wrong chapter for the name of the last one I just uploaded, so I'll go and fix that one, because this was chapter 9, and I put chapter 9 for the other one. Anyway, it's really confusing. Stay cool, keep traveling within the world of that books create, and see you guys next time. Thank you guys for joining me. Bye.